What if I told you that the chocolate bar you're eating took 2 weeks to make and started as a strange fruit growing on a tropical tree? From harvesting cacao pods in the rainforest to roasting, grinding, and transforming bitter beans into smooth chocolate, the process is far more complex than most people realize. In this video, we're breaking down every step of how chocolate is made and why the process takes about 2 weeks. Welcome to Gridified. Let's get into the grid. Cacao pods. Chocolate begins with cacao pods that grow on cacao trees in tropical regions near the equator. These trees thrive in warm, humid climates, such as parts of South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. The colorful pods grow directly from the trunk and branches of the tree and contain dozens of cacao beans inside. Each pod typically holds around 30 to 50 beans surrounded by sweet white pulp. Farmers harvest the pods carefully by hand, using machetes so the trees are not damaged. Once harvested, the pods are opened to remove the beans and pulp so the chocolate-making process can begin. Bean extraction. After the cacao pods are split open, the beans and their sticky fruit pulp are removed by hand. The pulp surrounding the beans tastes sweet and slightly tropical, but the beans themselves are bitter, and nothing like chocolate yet. Each pod contains several dozen beans that are collected together after extraction. The beans remain coated in the pulp because it plays an important role in the next stage. This sugary pulp helps start fermentation by feeding natural yeasts and bacteria. At this point, the beans are still raw, moist, and far from becoming chocolate. Fermentation. Fermentation is one of the most important steps in developing chocolate's flavor. The beans and pulp are placed in wooden boxes or covered with banana leaves and left to ferment. Natural yeasts and bacteria begin breaking down the sugars in the pulp and generate heat in the process. This heat and microbial activity trigger chemical reactions inside the beans that create chocolate flavor compounds. Without fermentation, chocolate would taste flat and unpleasant. This stage typically lasts between 5 and 7 days depending on the producer. Drying the beans. After fermentation, the beans must be dried to reduce their moisture content. Farmers spread the beans out across large drying racks, mats, or patios under the sun. The beans are turned frequently so that they dry evenly and do not develop mold. Proper drying also helps stop the fermentation process at the right time. This step usually takes another 5 to 7 days depending on weather conditions. Once the beans are fully dried, they become stable enough for storage and transport. Sorting and cleaning. Once the beans are dry, they go through sorting and cleaning to remove debris and damaged beans. Workers separate out sticks, stones, broken beans, and other unwanted materials. This quality control step helps ensure that only high-quality beans are used for chocolate production. Beans are also checked for size, color, and overall condition. Removing poor quality beans improves flavor consistency later in the process. After sorting, the beans are packed into sacks and shipped to chocolate factories. Roasting. At the chocolate factory, the dried cacao beans are roasted to develop their flavor and aroma. Roasting temperatures and times can vary depending on the type of chocolate being made. The heat deepens the flavor of the beans and brings out their natural chocolate notes. Roasting also helps loosen the thin outer shell surrounding each bean. This makes the beans easier to process in later steps. Much like roasting coffee, this stage has a major influence on the final flavor of chocolate. Cracking and winnowing. After roasting, the beans are cracked open to separate the outer shells from the edible centers. Machines break the beans into small pieces called cacao nibs. A process called winnowing then removes the lighter shells using airflow. Only the nibs remain after this step, and they are the key ingredient used to make chocolate. These nibs contain both cocoa solids and cocoa butter. Together, these components form the foundation of chocolate products. Grinding the nibs. The cacao nibs are ground into a thick liquid paste known as chocolate liquor. Despite the name, chocolate liquor contains no alcohol at all. Grinding releases the natural cocoa butter stored in the nibs, turning the mixture into a smooth fluid. This liquid is the base ingredient used to produce all types of chocolate. The flavor at this stage is very intense and still quite bitter. Sugar and other ingredients will later be added to balance the taste. Conching. Conching is a refining process that mixes and aerates the chocolate for an extended period of time. The chocolate is placed in a machine called a conching that continuously stirs and smooths the mixture. This step improves the texture and helps remove unwanted acidic flavors. As the chocolate is worked, it becomes smoother, creamier, and more balanced in taste. The process can last from several hours to several days depending on the manufacturer. High-end chocolates often undergo longer conching to achieve a very silky texture. Adding ingredients. After conching, additional ingredients are blended into the chocolate depending on the desired final product. Sugar is added to sweeten the chocolate and reduce bitterness. Milk powder is included when producing milk chocolate varieties. Extra cocoa butter may also be added to improve texture and melting properties. These ingredients are carefully mixed to achieve a balanced flavor and smooth consistency. The exact recipe determines whether the chocolate becomes dark, milk, or another type. Tempering. Tempering is a controlled heating and cooling process used to stabilize cocoa butter crystals in chocolate. Proper tempering gives chocolate its glossy appearance and crisp snap when broken. If chocolate is not tempered correctly, it can look dull or develop a pale white coating called bloom. During tempering, the chocolate is carefully heated and cooled through specific temperature stages. This aligns the cocoa butter crystals into a stable structure. The result is chocolate that looks shiny and melts smoothly in the mouth. Molding and setting. In the final stage, the tempered chocolate is poured into molds to create bars, candies, or other shapes. The molds are gently shaken to remove air bubbles and create a smooth surface. After pouring, the chocolate is cooled so it can harden properly. Once fully set, the chocolate pieces are removed from the molds. They are then packaged and prepared for distribution. From harvesting cacao pods to finished chocolate bars, the entire process can take about 2 weeks or more. And that's how chocolate goes from a tropical cacao pod to the chocolate bars we know and love. A process that takes weeks of fermentation, drying, roasting, and refining, just to create that smooth, rich flavor. If you enjoy seeing how everyday foods are made and broken down step by step, make sure to subscribe to Gridified, where we explain everything one grid at a time. Thanks for watching.